Hello everyone, thank you for joining us for our 2015 hurricane season special, Storm Tracker 4, Ahead of the Storm. I'm Chief Meteorologist Brian Hale, here with meteorologist Victoria Marshall and Brett Crandall.
Over the next 30 minutes, we'll cover everything you need to know to get you and your family informed on hurricane safety, preparedness, and awareness.
This year, we're coming to you from our new Storm Tracker 4 Weather Center with state-of-the-art tools to help us track the storm from formation to landfall.
The 2015 Atlantic hurricane season kicks off today, ending November 30th. Right now, the experts at Colorado State University are calling for a below-average season. 7 storms forecast to form, with 3 of those being hurricanes and only 1 of those being a major hurricane. An average year will see 12 storms form, 6 of those as hurricanes, 3 of those reaching major status.
Although the forecast is weak this year, it only takes 1 storm to do expensive damage. The last hurricane to hit the Rio Grande Valley was in July of 2008. That's when Dolly made landfall as a Category 1 storm with 95-mile-per-hour winds, gusts well over 100. Torrential rain was a huge threat, with totals up to 26 inches in some places. Over $1 billion in damage is recorded over the span of 14 counties that were declared federal disaster zones. Dolly is considered to be the most destructive storm in the Rio Grande Valley in 4 decades, since Beulah back in 1967. A Category 3 storm, Beulah killed nearly 700 people, spawning a record 115 tornadoes across South Texas. Other notable storms making landfall within a couple hundred miles of the valley are Allen in 1980, 1988's Gilbert, Brett in 1999, and more recently Alex in 2010.
Residents in South Padre Island remember Hurricane Dolly well. Some people had a plan, while others didn't and had to stay in the roughest storm they say they've ever seen. Action Force Tiffany Huertas has the story.
Some of the people kind of got scared because it was supposed to be a fun hurricane party, riding it out on a boat, drinking beer, and it turned out to be a pretty scary thing.
South Padre Island native Stephen Murphy remembers the day Hurricane Dolly passed through the valley.
It was calm first, and then the water started rising, of course, and then the rains came and the winds came.
Hurricane Dolly surprised many people, making landfall at South Padre Island on July 23, 2008. It started really slow, destroying everything in its path. Murphy decided to stick it out and stay in his boat during the entire storm.
The hard pellets of rain, they would make it through your slots, your fingers, and still pierce your eyes to where you couldn't see a thing.
Years later, the storm has taught many residents in the valley the importance of preparedness.
We need to make sure that people are well educated and they do understand that if you have a large Category 3, 4 storm, there is no riding that out. You have to leave.
Meteorologist Alex Garcia says residents in the valley need to understand that preparing is key.
When you look at each one of these storms, they're each unique events. Each one's different.
Over the years, the valley has not seen many storms like Dolly.
You have to have a definite plan of evacuation. You have to have contraflow lines. You have to have that all set up.
Dolly caused more than $500 million in damages. When the next hurricane comes, Stephen says he's not sticking around.
It was pretty intense. That was only 115-mile-an-hour winds, too, so I don't really think that I would do that again.
In South Padre Island, Tiffany Huertas, Action 4 News.
Garcia says to make sure to know your building codes, depending on where and how your house was built, can make a big difference.
Is your family prepared for a landfalling hurricane? Now is the time to make an emergency plan. Create an evacuation plan to get to a safe place with minimal notice. Have a way to communicate in case all power fails. It could help you reunite more quickly. And make sure you have a disaster supply kit ready to go months in advance. Include several gallons of water, at least a 3-day supply of non-perishable food, a first aid kit, prescription medicine, and personal sanitation items. Also keep copies of important documents on hand, like your driver's license, social security card, and insurance forms in waterproof bags.
At this hour, Hidalgo County officials are updating their plan of action. Ashley Custer tells us while they're hoping for the best, they are preparing for the worst.
But it only takes one event. And so we want to be prepared. We want to be ready.
Over 1,100 people attended the 3rd annual South Texas Hurricane Conference in April, which focused on building resilient regional communities.
We have the capabilities to pretty much handle any type of situation that may affect us here. But the reality is that we owe it to our residents and we owe it to our community to demonstrate to them that we do have plans in action.
Several officials from around the county came to the McAllen Convention Center to host the event, which focused on communication between agencies in the event of a natural disaster or hurricane.
As easy as a phone call or a radio call, because we're always vigilant and always working with the number one thing in mind is the safety of all our residents in our community.
And they say when nature strikes, their relief efforts and assistance are not just limited to Hidalgo County.
We will bring resources from our area, deploy in and assist Cameron County with their needs. We've been a very big partner with them and our partners in Willacy County regarding those type of situations.
The Joint Operations Center is at the Texas Department of Public Safety in Weslaco, where local officials can work hand in hand with the state to address any emergency needs.
The regional DPS office out of Weslaco is the command structure for regional efforts, but each county also has an emergency operations center, and each city has an emergency operations center.
Each emergency center can work independently to resolve small-scale issues, but when faced with a large-scale natural disaster, they say everyone is in it together.
And we're proud to say that we stand together and we stand proud for the citizens of the Tri-County area.
In McAllen, Ashley Custer, Action 4 News.
We're told these hurricane preparations and plans have been in the works for the last 6 years.
And preparations are underway in the event of voluntary or mandatory evacuations in the Rio Grande Valley. You're looking at a map of current evacuation routes, roads you'll need to take to exit the area as a storm approaches, including major arteries like highways 281, 83, and 77. Right now, TxDOT, state and local law enforcement agencies are reviewing their contingency plans for evacuation. They work with Border Patrol and DPS to freshen up their protocol yearly. They say they mainly play it by ear according to the hurricane, but in cases of mandatory evacuation, they start contraflow 36 hours out.
We close ramps and the traffic just starts exiting. And once we know that the road is clear, we start moving concrete barriers and start incorporating traffic that's going away from the coast. And now this process takes a while, takes a lot of coordination, takes a lot of communication.
Sign says it takes 6 hours to set up, another 24 to move people out. Staff remains at a special emergency operations center 24/7 with resources pushed out on an as-needed basis.
Now, for those who don't evacuate, there will soon be a safe option to ride out the storm close to home. School districts and cities across the valley are constructing safe domes. I take a look at construction efforts. Dome shelters across the valley are rising from the ground to provide shelter from the storm. This 20,000 square foot dome built on the Los Fresnos ISD United campus this spring will be the first safe room shelter of its kind to open in the valley. Los Fresnos City Manager Mark Milam says taxpayers will save millions of dollars.
You know, if we can spend several $1 million in helping communities have these, instead of spending $3 million, I think is what they spent for having buses come to the Rio Grande Valley to haul people out.
The shelter in Los Fresnos will double as the school's main gym. When the bleachers are brought in, there'll be enough seating for 1,800 people inside the gymnasium. But when it's turned into a shelter, there'll be enough space on the floor for 600 cots. The district saving cash, paying only 25% of the bill. FEMA is picking up the other 75%. In return, the district will hand over the keys when a storm hits.
The county would have to declare emergency, in which place there would be no school anyway.
What sets these dome shelters apart from any other shelter is the unique design of the roof. More than 12 inches thick where the roof meets the wall, these domes can withstand 200-mile-per-hour winds.
It's going to be safer than any other place around the area.
After the walls went up, Project Superintendent at Los Fresnos United, Pilo Garza, says it took 65 days just to construct the roof.
You inflate a balloon, and then you build the under portion of the roof, which we call the ceiling. The membrane you see in the outside was held in place with a pressurized system, and then they started doing the shotcrete from the bottom, reinforced steel and concrete.
It's not an easy process.
In very small layers, it's built up with a reinforced steel as they go from the perimeter, and they work towards the center. And it's sprayed at about 1 inch at a time.
However strong the roof may be, Milam warns these shelters in no way will replace an evacuation order.
Our message will still be evacuate the valley. That is the smartest thing if you can do it, that's the smartest thing to do. For those that can't for whatever reason, they'll have a place to be safe.
Now, the shelters in Los Fresnos and La Feria will be completed by the end of this hurricane season. Next year, Brownsville, Mercedes, and La Jolla ISDs will be nearing completion.
Coastal counties are hoping for the best and preparing for the worst. Straight ahead, what Cameron County officials have to say about lessons they're learning and they've learned from previous storms. Plus, lions and tigers and bears, oh my, they've got plenty at the Gladys Porter Zoo. A glance at the wild ride they're in for in the event of a storm.
Plus, how much do you know about the weather? Here's a little weather trivia to get us started. Thomas Edison was the first to send a film crew to cover the aftermath of which major natural disaster? That answer coming up after the break.
Plus, you want to register for a storm bucket. Be prepared before the storm. You can register for a chance to win this bucket courtesy of the Home Depot. The bucket has a number of items to help you, including a flashlight, batteries, bungee cords, a weather radio, and ponchos. You can register at valleycentral.com for your chance to win. And be sure to download your Storm Tracker 4 app. It's available in iTunes and on Google Play under KGBT Weather.